Good morning and welcome back to Maryland Today. My name is Jeff St. Pierre, and joining me this morning is one of my favorite guests, Deanna Booker, consumer and finance expert and the spokesperson for local nonprofit Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Maryland and Delaware. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
And today you have brought a friend along with you, Jim Godfrey. Is the president and CEO of Consumer Credit Counseling Services. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
We usually have Deanna in here giving lots of advice for people that are maybe in financial situations. But today we are doing something a little bit different because I understand that congratulations are due, given that this month marks Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Maryland and Delaware's 47th year serving the community. So how did this agency really get its start?
Well, first off, thank you. It's been a great 47 years. It really started back in March of 1966 when a group of local business leaders, community leaders, government agencies got together and decided that there really needed to be a place for people to go when they found themselves in some financial difficulties. And based on that meeting, they formed a nonprofit organization in March of 1966, and we're still here serving the community today.
That's great. So when CCCS first began, what was the initial mission, if you will?
Well, the mission hasn't changed dramatically from the beginning to what it is today. And our mission has always been to bring financial stability to individuals through education and counseling, and that's still our efforts today.
What other milestones has CCCS attained over these last 47 years?
Throughout our existence, we've always prided ourselves and recognized that people's financial situations change and they're different from individual to individual and from different points in time. So at the start, we were primarily a face-to-face organization where people would come to us in the community and sit across the desk from us. Times have changed, people have changed, people look for more convenient ways to get to us and get our service. So we do a lot of telephone counseling. We even provide some access to our organization through the internet. So as the environment has changed, as the financial situations have become more complex for individuals, we've evolved along with them to meet their needs.
Yeah, and as things have evolved electronically with the internet and such, it has been easier to get that information out to people in that way too. I know, Deanna, I've had you in here before, and we've spoken often about different systems that you offer online, different tutorials, and all that information you can find through the CCCS website.
We definitely have. We've really expanded a lot of the information, a lot of the things that we have available on the website. We spend a lot of time revamping it and tweaking it and making it so that people really do have access to so many of the things that are happening within our agency online, because that's how, folks are getting their information these days. So, the podcast and the e-learning and all the modules that we've put up and Twitter and Facebook, we're really trying to make it so that folks really can interact with us on those levels of technology. It makes it easier.
Jim, let me bring you in here for a second. Deanna's mentioned expansion. How have you expanded your services over the years?
Yeah, as Deanna mentioned, we have had to expand based on the economic times, the client base that we serve. We offer new services such as housing counseling. With the recent financial crisis related to the real estate market, we help people through foreclosure prevention counseling. We get involved with loss mitigation with them. We do reverse mortgage counseling. And in addition to those services that we provide, we've expanded our reach to all across the United States. As I said earlier, we started out in the Baltimore metro, and demand forced us, if you will, to expand that and reach further across the country. We're now authorized to do business in 49 states.
Deanna, I'd like to bring you back in here. How have CCCS's educational efforts changed and grown?
We've always really had a strong belief and a strong kind of foundation in believing that financial literacy is essential. It truly is essential for all people from all walks of life. So early on, our educational efforts were mainly focused on helping adults gain the financial skills that they needed to maintain some level of stability. And it's still true. That's still part of our mandate. It's still what we're doing. A while ago, though, we decided or we recognized that we needed to expand, to use that word that we keep mentioning. We needed to expand. So we formed some partnerships. Back in the early 90s, we formed partnerships with the Maryland and Delaware Councils on Economic Education to start providing classroom instruction. So now we're not just talking about adults. We're talking about younger folks, classroom instruction on personal finance matters. Inside these kinds of partnerships, we've done all sorts of financial literacy work, train the trainer workshops, all that kind of thing with teachers, more than 60,000 teachers. And these teachers have in turn provided that instruction in the classroom about financial literacy, about basic life skills management to millions of children, millions of students, K through 12. So we really believe that, that money management education at home, at school, wherever folks are getting it, it really is essential to folks being able to grow into adults that are more likely to be more aware and to have more skills and more of the right kind of behaviors and habits. So it's something that's important to us. And that we've taken advantage. The technological advances we've all seen in the past few years really have helped us, and we were talking about this earlier, really have helped us reach more people and educate more people and spread this word to more people. So again, we have all of that stuff on the internet, on our site, all of the e-learning courses. It really, really has taken our education platform up so many notches.
I know you were talking about partnerships there a second ago. I also know that you get involved with community organizations as well. How does CCCS's involvement with these other community organizations help it fulfill its mission?
What we're doing, our financial knowledge, the habits we have, the skills that we have, they're not just about us. And they're not just about, our little lives. They're affecting every aspect of what's happening in our lives and everyone's life. So it's no surprise to us when clients come to us with money problems. They often don't just need us. They often need a lot of other things, a lot of other services, things that maybe we can't provide for them wholly. So in the past few years, we've really expanded our involvement with like-minded, and that's really a good way to describe them, like-minded organizations in the community. Our partnerships with groups like the Maryland Cash Campaign, the Baltimore Cash Campaign, the Delaware Financial Literacy Institute, partnering with agencies like these really have made it possible for us to enlarge, to strengthen our educational outreach. Our partnership with nonprofit agencies, government groups like Habitat, like the DHCD, they've also helped us connect with clients who are really in some really great need of the kind of advice we're offering, the kind of education we're giving out, the kind of services we provide. So I think it's important. The connection and the partnerships that we have with agencies like this are really helping us, again, in the spread of this mission and our message.
Yeah. You guys do so much over there, but obviously budget and credit counseling is a huge part of what CCCS does. Now, I know we touched on this a little bit earlier, but how have these services changed in the past few years?
I think our message has stayed the same. The difference, I believe, comes in our means for delivering it. When we first started, budget and credit counseling sessions strictly took place, and Mr. Godfrey said this earlier, they strictly took place on a face-to-face level at one of our local offices. That's all it was. Now we provide help by phone to people throughout the country. Again, like he said earlier, we're providing services over the internet, that kind of thing. So the message, the budget and credit counseling message at Consumer Credit Counseling hasn't changed substantially. Our counselors are still certified in the same ways. They're still there to be able to help clients do the kind of financial assessing that needs to be done, helping folks set up a budget and that sort of thing. So I think it's just about the way in which that we're delivering the services.
Jim Godfrey, let me get you back in here. I've heard that the credit counseling industry has changed a lot in the past few years as well. How has it evolved?
Well, that's also a very good question. When we first started in 1966, credit counseling was primarily a free or an extremely low-cost service that was provided by local nonprofits like ours across the country. Our debt management plans helped clients with money problems, helped them repay their debts and regain financial control without going into bankruptcy was what we were trying to avoid with most of the people. Early on, the creditors were willing partners. They recognized the value of our organizations and the way they would reduce their interest rates, lower payments to help people regain control and actually become customers again once they were out of debt and had a more solid foundation and an understanding of how to use the credit wisely. These changes have encouraged a lot of nonprofit credit counseling in the community to expand and diversify services like we talked about. And another thing I think that it's brought to the attention of business in general is that there was a lot of opportunity for some companies to come into this industry to earn money. And some of those companies, like debt settlement organizations and for-profit credit counseling organizations have sprung up over the years, and consumers and people in need to be very careful of organizations like that to make sure they do a lot of background checks and investigation because sometimes they don't necessarily have their best needs in mind.
Right. Now, your mission statement, you had said earlier, is, for the most part, still the same now as it was back when you first started 47 years ago. But as you just talked about with all these changes, how have these changes affected the way CCCS does business today?
We haven't changed dramatically in our approach to serving the community. We still strive to keep our services very affordable, very low cost, and actually no cost to those that can't afford to pay for our services. If they're in need and they don't have the ability to pay, we absolutely will serve that part of the community also. We now rely more heavily on grants to support what we do because funding is an issue in this industry, not only for nonprofits like us, but for all nonprofits. So instead of the contributions that we receive from the credit community in forms of fair share contributions, we now have to heavily rely on grants and other means of funding. We also constantly are looking for ways to make our services more efficient.
Now, Deanna, can I bring you back in here for a second? Now, we've been talking about the past 47 years and the changes that have come to CCCS. Going into the next 47, what challenges do you think CCCS faces?
I think Mr. Godfrey just mentioned the biggest one. Like all nonprofits, funding is one of our biggest challenges. We're constantly searching for financial support so that we can continue to grow and we can continue to develop the counseling, the education programs, all the things that we want to be there for to give to clients. So I think that's our biggest challenge going forward. We're also always looking for ways to get our message out, to show the community why we're different, what makes us better or what makes us stand out. And it's become increasingly important, I think, at this point when the playing field is a bit more wide open and there's more competition and folks really need to have a better understanding. Again, like Mr. Godfrey was just saying, doing that investigation and the research and the background checks, who you're dealing with, making sure that an agency, an organization has your best interests at heart. So not only do we have to distinguish ourselves from other nonprofits, we face that kind of competition from the for-profit community as well. And so I think in fighting that or in combating that, our best defense is our education and our public outreach and what we're doing to try to make consumers more aware and have them understand. We're differentiating ourselves by providing Marylanders with the information they need to make the best possible personal finance decisions. So I think that's always going to be a challenge. That's something that's ongoing.
Let's change gears just a little bit here. Let's have some fun. What one word or phrase do you think best describes CCCS?
We are compassionate. We are mindful of people's situations. So we try to do the things that help stabilize communities, and we do that through our education and counseling efforts. As far as our greatest contribution in the last 47 years, that one sort of is easy to me, and it's an ongoing contribution, and I hope it continues into the next 47 years with Deanna here taking care of that. If we only help one person a day reach their financial goals and regain financial stability and self-confidence and dignity, that's a contribution we try to make every day, and I think we've done that, and I'm certainly mindful that it will continue.
Deanna, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Well, there's absolutely no way that I could answer it better than Mr. Godfrey just did.
That was a good answer.
It really was. That really does sum it up. I don't know that I could come up with one word. All of the words that he used, all those adjectives, they're absolutely true, and they're absolutely descriptive of who we are as an organization and what we're trying to do. And I hope, like he does, that it continues for the next 47 years. Our greatest contribution, I guess if I was forced to answer that or forced to come up with an answer, I'd probably say that it's the education. It's the education piece of all that we do. Everything that we're doing obviously is important, but I think the education, what folks are walking away with, the knowledge and the skills and the new habits and the new behaviors that they're able to take and carry forward into the rest of their lives. I think that kind of impact is one of the things that's really, really important to me.
Well, Deanna and Jim, before I let you go, Deanna, can you hit me up with the information about how people can contact CCCS if they're interested in learning more or maybe getting some counseling?
Absolutely. They can always call our 800 number. It's 1-800-642-2227. They can visit our website, www.cccs-inc.org. They can certainly visit our Facebook page at CCCS of Maryland and Delaware, join our Twitter feed. It's CCCS of MD and DE. There's all kinds of great information, especially on the website.
Well, I say it every time you come by, Deanna. Always a pleasure to have you here in the studio. Deanna Booker, a consumer finance expert and the spokesperson for Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Maryland and Delaware. And today, a new friend in the family, Jim Godfrey, President and CEO of CCCS of Maryland and Delaware. Guys, I'm just so pleased to have you here, and congratulations. 47 years, a lot of phenomenal work that you've done with the local people here, and I know they all appreciate that.
Well, Jeff, thank you very much. It's our pleasure to join you for these conversations, and we really appreciate the opportunity of doing that, because we talked earlier about getting the word out and making it known that we're there to help, and it's through people like you and organizations like Clear Channel that help us do that, and we thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, and we're looking forward to the next time we get you in here.
Absolutely.
And thank you for joining us this and every week on Maryland Today.